Do you hate the Avengers? You ever wish you could just watch them all die off one by one during MCU's first phase so they never even become the Avengers in the first place? Well, aside from having a couple of screws loose, my guess is you'd probably say there's no way they would ever make such a thing. Well, do I have a pleasant surprise for you. Simply flip on Marvel's third episode of What If and watch all your sadistic dreams become reality. This episode takes everything we've come to know and love from the origins of the MCU and ties it all nice and neat into a deranged murder mystery. Is this another installment to get excited about? Let's get into it. The episode kicks off on a Monday with Nick Fury and Black Widow heading out to speak to Iron Man about the Avengers initiative. However, after Black Widow sticks Tony with what is supposed to be a temporary fix to his poison blood situation in the first Iron Man movie, he dies. Whoa. I know that's the premise of the whole story here, but shit, that was quick. Okay. Tuesday rolls around and we cut to Agent Coulson giving Fury a call about Thor's hammer being found, but he's dealing with Natasha being framed for Iron Man's murder and knows she didn't do it. So, he passes along the antidote that they gave Tony to her and requests she bring it to an outside source to investigate it. Back at the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility with Coulson, it doesn't take long for Thor to pop in to search for his beloved Mjolnir. As he approaches his weapon, Hawkeye prepares to shoot to kill if need be, but Fury tells him to hold back. But then Thor gets shot down and killed anyway, though Hawkeye swears on everything that he didn't take the shot. Later, Fury heads to Hawkeye's cell to speak with him about it, but upon entering he realizes the Archer is now dead. The hell's going on here? Then comes Wednesday. Natasha pays a visit to Betty Ross for assistance in examining the Iron Man antidote due to her scientific expertise and ability to stay clear of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar. Betty's analysis boils down to claiming the antidote never left the device, and it almost appears as though some sort of projectile was fired out instead. Natasha then receives a call from Fury revealing Hawkeye's death and the apparent tie between the murders. Whoever is responsible seems to be targeting all the selected candidates of the Avengers initiative. So, Natasha needs to find Bruce Banner as he and her are both on the list. Well, turns out Bruce is already in Betty's office, hiding in a closet, and it's a good thing she found him as they're about to be surrounded by some unwelcome guests. Meanwhile, as Coulson heads back from a coffee break, out of nowhere comes a wave of Asgardian warriors led by the god of mischief, Loki, who's there to take revenge for his brother's death. Fury walks out to confront him while receiving a phone call from Black Widow. You see, those unwelcome guests turn out to be General Ross and his army, and they're on the hunt for Dr. Banner. In a similar situation to Hawkeye's, all the soldiers are told to hold their fire, and yet Bruce gets shot, though instead of dying, he turns into the Hulk. And we get a very nice homage to a scene from the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, which is awesome given it's usually dismissed by most fans. Though his rampage gets cut short when he spontaneously starts to grow in size and fucking explodes. Simultaneously, Loki starts wielding some ice like it's no one's business until Fury manages to reason with him and convinces the Asgardian prince that he will deliver the one responsible for Thor's death. Cut over to Natasha hacking away into the files of the Avengers initiative to try and discover who may be behind all of this, until she's confronted by an ominous and seemingly invisible force. As she gets her ass handed to her and is guaranteed about to die, she barely manages to leave a voicemail for Fury stating it's all about hope. After Fury receives and believes he's deciphered her message, he ventures out to make a deal with Loki. Then Thursday rolls around. And you thought you had a rough week. We find Fury at Hope Van Dyne's gravesite, and out from the shadow steps a broken and emotionally unstable Hank Pym, who's rocking a badass hybrid version of the Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket suits. Hank goes on to accuse Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. for the death of his daughter, but Fury stands his ground that she died on a mission serving a greater good than herself, which causes the distraught murderer to lunge out for an attack. Though as he does, Fury suddenly becomes the most spry and agile man of his age there's ever been as he evades and deflects every strike thrown his way until it's revealed that Fury is actually Loki in disguise and the whole thing was a setup to use the god of mischief to trick, outwit, and outpower Hank. After he's successfully detained, Loki suspiciously decides to extend his stay on Midgard with the intentions of taking over the world, of course, leading us directly into Friday, where Loki heads into the United Nations and gives a speech that resembles the one he delivered in the first Avengers film. But there may still be hope as Fury ventures out and finds Captain America's shield frozen in ice and welcomes another captain, Captain Marvel. But then the episode ends? I really want more, but that's it. There's the breakdown of What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes? This episode packs so much of a punch in such a short time frame. It transitions superbly from scene to scene and character to character without ever really feeling rushed or abrupt, and it did a phenomenal job of building upon the familiar yet bizarre theme this show presents. The whole concept of this installment could be looked at as awfully dark if mistreated, given the amount of big-name heroes meeting their demise, but it was handled so well here, and just like the Watcher points out towards the end, it truly does feel like there's still some remnants of hope left in that universe. I'd be so curious to see where this storyline continues, as I'm sure the two captains would have eventually formulated their own version of the Avengers, and the thought of seeing whatever ragtag team they'd put together to go up against Loki and his Asgardian army seems epic. I keep wondering who they'd get. I know Iron Man's storyline didn't go on long enough here to introduce War Machine, but I still imagine he could come into play. Spider-Man undoubtedly has to still be out there. Black Panther seems like a no-brainer, and though it may not be Scott Lang, potentially they could find a candidate to take over the mantle of Ant-Man or Yellowjacket and put that technology and suit to better use than murdering other heroes. It'd be really fun to watch, and I gotta say, just the fact that this episode has me thinking like that shows how well done it really was. You know a show or movie has been well made when at the end of it you're yearning for more as opposed to thinking it should have been over some time ago. The voice acting, with exceptions, as well as the animation, continue to improve and accentuate the story and action, and proves it does have the capability of presenting legitimately emotional moments. When Black Widow received the news that Hawkeye died, I wanted to give the cartoon props for her acting skills. Her shock and instant despair that quickly turns into vengeance was wonderfully translated in that scene. And the mystery culminating into the revelation of such an unhinged version of Hank Pym was a solid choice. I think his actions are a bit overboard given the reasoning behind them. It's not like Fury and the Avengers murdered his daughter, yet it still felt grounded and believable enough to work for the story here. Overall, I thought this episode was a massive success for this series. I can't think of anything that I necessarily disliked here, not enough to make a big deal out of anyway, and I couldn't be more excited for what's on the way. As always though, I'd love to know where you all stand with this one. Do you agree that it's another step in the right direction? Was it your favorite episode so far? Or are you still on the fence about the whole concept of this show? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, like the video if you enjoyed the content, subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with breakdowns of future episodes, and I'll catch you at the next review.